sitting bull.
Biggie.
They know him as the Notorious B.I.G.
And then how about ODB?
That's Chief Crazy Horse. Now, Chief Crazy Horse is a generic term for a Hayoka priest who can convince the enemy that he's totally insane while he's telling everything to the clan they need to know to get free. He's telling them who behind it. He's telling them what organizations they using. It's the CIA, Bush and them niggas. They trying to kill me. They mission. According to the most violent, bloody oath of the papacy, it started off with the opening lines that this agreement is to kill, oppress, murder the kings, the princes, and the people of the land. So when he telling us who it is trying to kill him, it's the CIA. What's their motto, Dr. G? Do you know?
I don't.
Real bad boys move in silence.
Wow. Real bad
boy. Bad boy. What you gonna do?
With the bad boys, the new Will Smith, what's his name?
Will Smith and Martin Lawrence.
Yes.
Okay, now the Mossad, the military, the Secret Service of Israel has a different motto. Their motto is, by way of deception, we should wage war. So they're going to use lies, falsehood, and misleading information to convince people to support them in a war. The first lie is that God chose somebody over somebody else. That's the first lie. If somebody tell you God chose somebody over somebody else, that God is a goddamn devil. When God created earth and the people of the earth, they all had a place that they belonged by nature. Now, along come this other God that say, I'm going to kill off all the people on this land, and I'm going to give it to you as my promise to you. It becomes known as the promised land. First of all, if you was creating a new species of people, you would have created them in the most unpopulated region of the world where there is no question where they belong. Right. So all of the time they telling us this stuff, naturally, we feel like the chosen people. Why? Because we had a birthright to the land we own and we displaced. That's the description of the chosen ones. The people over there that left Khazaria, the Prussian mountains, as Moorish banker mulatto offspring, that went into this place called Israel, the Sephardi Ashkenaz, they ain't no chosen people. Because they wouldn't have had to leave their native homeland of Khazaria and go set up a fake homeland on the West Bank. And then when you dig deeper, you find out that the Mossad created Hamas because they needed an enemy. It's the Hegelian dialectic is what it's called. Problem, reaction, solution. 48 laws of power say create an enemy for the people so that you can have something to rally behind. You ain't got to create no enemy for them. The people got an enemy. And we call it government. That's why in the Declaration of Independence, it say whenever the government deviate from these aims, it is the duty, not the right. It is the duty of the people to overthrow it and replace it with a better form of government. Why that's in there? It's supposed to be the perfect government, the Democratic Republic, which is a total oxymoron. Democracy is mob rule, meaning majority rule. A republic is ruled by law. You can't be ruled by both. Right? Now, they got, if you go read the communist writings of early Russia, they all talking about setting up a democracy. When Castro and Fidel I mean, when Fidel Castro and Che Guevara and Camilo Cienfuegos was leading the Cuban Revolution, they wasn't setting up nothing called socialism or communism. They was establishing a democracy, right? When you read in the works of Trotsky, Stalin, Lenin, they all talking about establishing a democracy, but once they get in power, none of these governments are true democracies. Right? And the true democracy is the government where the mothers make the decisions based off the needs of the children of the whole community. That's what the true democracy is. But they villainize the name by using the title and doing the dirt. So now don't nobody want to hear about capitalism, democracy, communism, socialism, fascism. Why? They got us focused on that while they're trying to set up an oligarchy. Right? They want us ruled by corporations. If that don't work, then they're going to have us in what's called a techocracy ruled by artificial intelligence because we don't have enough sense to govern ourselves. Right? How do they prove that we don't have enough sense to govern ourselves? Because we let fully grown adults saturate the minds of our unsuspecting youth with sexual content. And I ain't just talking about the LMNOQ community. I'm talking about heterosexuals too. When you start teaching children about sex, you are damaging the future. When they learn it too soon, they become inquisitive, and inquisitive minds want to know. So what are they going to do? They're going to experiment to determine if what you said is valid or not. But if you wait until they old enough to start, why am I growing hair in these strange places? Now you have to explain puberty to them, which is going to take you in a step-by-step discussion on growing up, becoming an adult, learning how to grow up without growing old, protect the inner child. The sexual expression of debauchery is pushed by the society so that they can condemn you with a moral compass that they don't even have themselves. So the people that's giving us our moral compass have no morals. So everything that we chasing in the name of morality, right? It's a efforts of the people to struggle to do right, even when everything around them is going wrong. That's us. So of course, when they say that some people call Hebrews is the chosen people, that feel like me. But I ain't no Hebrew because I ain't from the Middle East. I'm from Mississippi clay dirt.
So that some of those that call themselves Hebrew don't have the knowledge that Hebrew is not the name of a people, but an action, like the Hebrew.
Yeah, it means to cross over.
Cross over. And
so in those movies, that was his adolescent life growing up to become the one that they selected. He have about 7 clones that was born that looked just like him. They was originally, when they was originally born, it was 50 of them.
Oh, so they were mass producing like Cabbage Patch Kids.
Right? The story of is the story of Adolf Hitler and the boys from Brazil.
Okay.
So what they did was they found the mummy of Akhenaten, and they cloned him 50 times.
He does look like, if you could put his face over that, and you got the same structure, the same.
The reason why they did so many of them, because they wanted to run tests on most of them. Intelligence tests, Stockholm syndrome related MK Ultra type tests, because they needed to make sure he was properly programmed for the position. Now, why did they choose Akhenaten?
Why?
The reign of the Boy King was interrupted by an assassination. You know who the Boy King was, right?
Right.
Tutankhamun. Yeah.
Yeah.
They was call themselves pulling rank on the son by cloning the father. He already had his turn to rule. So now all of the pantheon of deities listed as the powers behind Egypt is in support of the boy king having his right to rule at the close of the age because his reign was interrupted by an assassination. So they believed that if they used a particular homosexual ritual on one of the clones of Akhenaten, they can climb Jacob's ladder and artificially insert him into the rulership seat. And so once he was decided which one of the clones they was going to use, he was taught on how to be the president by a brother out of Chicago. He was a blank slate when they brought him to him. He didn't know nothing. He was a clone, but he was a blank slate because all he wanted him to learn from this guy is how to be a president, how to play the role of a president. Remember earlier you were saying we all playing roles, right? Your ego, right? Your ego is the role that you playing under the name that you use that's built by the society around you. By everything that name inspired people to discuss, everything that you believe to be true about you with that name becomes your ego self. That's your artificial personality created by the society. The true self, because of a spell known as the Amon Spell or the Amen Spell, as they say in the Christian church, Amen at the end of every prayer. The Amen is actually the god Amun, which means the hidden one, right? And when you follow the hidden priesthood, you find that the Amun priest was at war with the Aten priest. The Aten priest is the priest that tells the people, you have the inner light of the creator that created you from source, if you are from source. If you tune into that inner light, you need no man to guide you anywhere, and all of your steps will be rightly guided, and you will be walking in what we call the path of righteousness. Now, there are some people who has been genetically programmed with computers, because there's computers that interface with your genome. They don't tell us about it because they don't want us to know how far advanced the technology being used to oppress us is compared to the technology that we trying to use to come from under. So once they get you programmed, so they wanted him programmed from an actor on how to play the role of the perfect president. Right? So he took all of the credit for everything G. Dummy and Clinton had got passed. Because remember, before it was Obamacare, it was called, under the Clinton campaign as the universal health care.
Okay.
Right. But when Obama came in office, they programmed us through the George Bush administration on who to vote for when we was chasing Osama bin Laden. We didn't know that meant vote for Obama, Joe Biden. They tricked us with a homonym, and we never saw it coming.
Wow.
So his father, his alleged father, is supposed to be from Kenya, the land of the jackal. Right?
Makes sense. Right.
The jackal is Rosemary's baby's father. The jackal is also Damien's father in the Omen. A step further, the counselor for Damien is a priest. And there's a Catholic priest that's overseeing the birth of Rosemary's baby.
Right.
In the structure, we call them Jesuits. They the handlers of the elite to make sure that if they don't do what the church told them to, we got something for you, JFK. We got something for you, Bobby RK. Right? And they use this programming because of our genetic memory recognize certain people. Before we realize who Tut is, Tupac Amaru Shakur, before we realize his rule was interrupted by an assassination, Vegas, then we realized how they was going to replace him with his father, Akhenaten. But it's a clone that's been programmed with a computer on how to behave like the perfect president. Right? Now, when you understand metaphysics, you understand that this is called an ancient blood rite ritual, and it ain't the first time it's been done. Right? It's been used in several times. Alexander the Great is the biggest example, son of Zeus. In Egypt, Zeus is Set. In Sumer, Zeus is Enlil. In Israel, Zeus is Yahweh. All the same person. So they telling us what they did. So Alexander the Great was a clone of the one we call Enlil. And this is why they say he was born to a son of Zeus by the power of the gods, which means science. It's a reason why they use 50 Obamas. This is what they call the Seal of Marduk.
Marduk, the son of Enki or Enlil?
It's actually the science was originally the 50 keys or sciences that was mastered by Marduk, the son of Enki. But Enlil named his son after Enki's son in order to replace him. Right? Enki's son, Marduk, we call him today Malachi York. Right? But he got a sworn enemy that he born with wherever he go, will carry his name, and he's the son of his father's half brother.
So this keeps repeating itself, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that ain't the only one. Ninursine is who they get the Babylonian blood magic, Babylonian sex magic, which is all of the adrenochrome harvested and all that, and the Babylonian money magic that's all written in the Mishnah and the Talmud, but they don't want you to read that. They only want you to read the Torah. Because then you start seeing the dirt that they doing is based on oppressing the people that they trying to overthrow so they can steal something. Right? It's like it's like a blueprint for thieves to follow to make people unsuspecting participants in their own oppression. Ain't nobody oppress you if they don't stay down there with you. So they had to pick a group of us that's going to stay at the bottom and a group of us that's going to keep us there. Right? And the same ones that's holding you down got to be strong as you is to keep you from getting up. And they doing it all with spirit science and the scrolls of government and what Dr. Neely Fuller writed as the 9 areas of people activity. I always add health as the common denominator because none of the other 9 is functional without good health.
True.
Right? So we know that they wrote about it in the Sumerian tablets, the engineering program for the hominids and how they were shortening our lifespan. Today, we know that the human lifespan has been shortened because the telomeres, for some reason, doesn't cover the entirety of the chromosomes. Right? We also know about the chemical castration of our lifespan with something called the human aging hormone based on the works of Cynthia Kenyon. Right? So she was a gerontologist out of UCLA Berkeley, and she discovered hormone receptors on the cell that when the hormone is matched with receives whatever it's receiving, the aging hormone, it causes the cell to age. But by artificial means, they can block it, and lo and behold, it triples the lifespan of 30 days to 90 days for one of those little worms. Right? So just telling